It has been said that the purposes that religion fulfills are to provide belief, behavior, and belonging. The intellectual or emotional aspect of prayer and feeling God's presence are woven together with the need to know how to act and to know that we are part of a group. When we focus too narrowly on only one aspect of those three basic human needs, religion fails us. Near the end of this week's Parsha, a man is found collecting wood on Shabbat. Those who found him doing so bring him before Moses, Aaron, and the entire community, and he is placed in custody until a decision is made about what to do with him. God tells Moses that the man should be stoned to death by the entire community outside the camp. The punishment for collecting firewood on Shabbat, in other words, for transgressing the prohibition on carrying on that day, was death. It is a fact that we recoil when we read that passage. But it is not only we who view that penalty as unduly harsh. Our sages have shared that view for centuries. One commentary on this passage claims that the incident took place shortly after the law was given on Mount Sinai, suggesting that it was not merely the transgression itself that merited death, but its flagrant nature, occurring so soon after God had personally revealed the law to the people. Another commentator writes that the incident is described here because it took place after the failed mission of the scouts, those sent out to reconnoiter the land just before the Israelites conquered it, perhaps suggesting that the perpetrator had lost all hope of being delivered into the Holy Land, or that without such deliverance, the people had begun to become complacent and ignored the law. All of those possibilities share an assumption about the text of the Torah, and that is that we cannot understand what the Torah demands of us without knowing its contents in full. It's not possible to understand the lessons that the Torah wants to teach us without having a broad knowledge of its text. Some of what it teaches us is ritual in nature, such as how the sacrifices were conducted in antiquity. Other passages teach us God's behavioral expectations of us. Still others make it clear that the law applies to this people and not another, and that by adhering to shared practices, the Israelites set themselves apart from other groups, and that they constitute a distinctive group in and of themselves. Each constituent part of the Torah illuminates the rest. Each passage deepens our understanding of other passages by creating a web of meaning in which each verse and each incident plays a part. So, when we read the account of the wood gatherer, we are troubled. Should a man die for picking up wood on the Sabbath? But understanding that law in a broader context, even by looking at the very next section of the Torah that follows that passage, we can understand it a bit better. The Parsha concludes with the rules about wearing tzitzit, the ritual fringes on the talit. The purpose of the tzitzit is stated explicitly in the Torah. We should look at them and be reminded of our obligations to God, so that we not be led astray by our urges. We can better understand the passage about the wood gatherer if we see it as being purposefully placed immediately before the passage on tzitzit. Seen that way, the importance of those fringes as a visual representation now becomes apparent. Before the laws of tzitzit are known to us, which is to say, before we take the time to show and pay attention to outward and visible reminders of our identity as Jews, all sorts of transgressions against the Torah's laws remain likely. But with that visual reminder, we will remember and we will observe our traditions. It seems that the wood gatherer no longer saw evidence of his identity as an Israelite, whether literally by looking at fringes or figuratively. Having forgotten his beliefs, his behaviors, and the demands of him placed on him by God, he was as if dead. For me, the story of the wood-gatherer, placed as it is before the rules about tzitzit, can be read as a cautionary tale about the relationship between who we are and what we do. If we keep our traditions before our eyes, like the tzitzit, meaning if we remember to behave righteously, as they are reminders of righteous behavior, and if we remember our identity as part of a larger group, the Jewish people, we will merit life, and we will live lives of merit. Shabbat Shalom.